先进们，大家好，欢迎莅临本年度第一季非洲市场研讨会，专家示范南部非洲市场这样做。首先，为各位介绍今天的与会贵宾。第一位是中华民国对外贸易发展协会市场拓展处邱慧丽邱处长。接下来是经济部国际贸易局张淑义张组长，南非驻台代表 Mr. Vermaak， 台湾非洲经贸协会黄华明理事长，非洲台湾商会联合总会简永杰总会长。我们今天还有一位贵宾是我们的非洲驻台经贸联合办事处林志强林处长，以及我们理顿实业有限公司周艾频周总经理。最后，我们还有线上的贸协同仁苏敬玉高级专员。
Hello， 大家好。
让我们大家以掌声鼓励，谢谢他们。接下来，我们有请外贸协会市场拓展处邱慧丽邱处长为我们致辞，欢迎邱处长。
贸易局张淑义组长，还有我们南非驻台代表 Mr. Vermaak， 还有我们非洲台湾商业联合总会的简永杰简会长，还有我们 TAITRA 的黄理事长，还有我们今天这个林志强这个非洲驻台经贸联合办事处林志强林处长还有我们这个TAITRA荣誉理事长前任的这个荣誉理事长孙杰夫孙荣誉理事长还有我们理顿公司周艾频周总经理，还有我们现场各位贵宾，还有我们企业的先进们，大家午安，大家好。很高兴欢迎大家今天来参加我们今天的非洲市场的这个研讨会那非洲很多人都提过，非洲是未来的一个全球经济成长的一个引擎。那这2年呢，在台湾、非洲也是非常非常热门的一个议题。在台湾上上下下，从政府单位包括像经济部、外交部、侨委会，甚至还有很多高层的这个单位，一直到我们外贸协会，甚至TAITRA然后这个还有所有的这个相关的这个业者对非洲都是这个一直都是这2年来一直非常非常热门的这个一个议题那刚刚我也才跟这个我们驻台的这个代表Vermaak 提到说，这2年非洲的议题在台湾真的是非常非常热是一股热潮。那外贸协会也在前2年积极的针对非洲做了很多的这个介绍，像我们去年出版的一本叫做这个逐鹿非洲关键密码，这中间有提到说，在全球的这个供应链重组的这个趋势下呢，非洲的制造业未来一定是一个非常重要的一个布局的这个地点。那另外呢，我们看到非洲这么大的一个市场，我们看到世界各国，包括从欧洲、美国、中国大陆，以及甚至像印度、这个黎巴嫩等等这些国家在非洲的布局都非常非常的深，所以我们也建议国内的厂商要到非洲去的时候，一定要有一个准备，就是要长期蹲点。那另外一个，我们也看到很多美国的这个一些新创的业者他们对非洲也有一个非常不同的这个看法，因为非洲现在的社会是一个跳跃式的这个社会，所以非洲很多新的 idea、新的创意，其实都是很快的就直接可以连接到我们现在这个全球的这个经济上面 因此我们在经营非洲的时候，必须要有几个不同的这个看法，不同的这个想法哈。那我认为前面这几个关键密码，大家一定要记住。那另外一个就是非洲市场，其实它非常辽阔无边哦。那所以呢，外贸协会跟贸易局在这个制定市场拓展策略的时候，我们也都建议大家一定要把整个市场呢分成主力市场、潜力市场、关注市场。主力市场就是说，当你没去过非洲的，你应该先从主力市场跑起。当你对非洲已经非常熟悉，常常跑非洲的我们的老非洲现场啊，有非常多的这个企业啊，都是对非洲非常熟悉的哈。那你们应该多多的去开发这些值得关注的潜力的市场跟这个值得关注的市场。哦，那另外一个就是非洲呢，其实它的发展的这个程度啊，我们应该也要深度的这个了解。它非洲现在发展的这个情况当中，阶段当中呢，最需要的产业有哪些？哦，那我们也提到，这个最需要的就是食品加工，它必须解决粮食问题哈。另外一个就是交通工具，汽机车零配件，因为非洲的这个基础建设都还在成长这个还在开发当中，所以呢，很多路面啊，包括交通工具啊，都很不方便。但是这一方面呢，汽车、机车的零配件都非常非常重要。那汽车零配件对台湾来讲就是一个强项，因此汽车零配件到非洲去啊，其实是一个非常非常有潜力的一个产业。那当然除了这些之外，不管是能源建设，比如说像电力啦，或者是纺织、医材、生活消费品，哦，像台湾最强的塑胶射出成型这些的制造呢，其实在非洲也都非常非常重要。那另外还有一些就是加工的这个机械哈。那除了这些之外呢，这2年贸协也在政府这个带领之下，更高层的单位带领之下呢，把台湾所有的这个资讯，有关非洲相关的资讯啊，全部都整合在一起。那我们现在的这个非洲经贸网呢，其实应该是台湾资讯最齐全的一个资讯平台。哦，这里面包括了外交部、经济部、侨委会，还有我们所有的台商协会提供的相关的这个资料。各位如果要到非洲去的话，我们建议各位可以先浏览一下这个资讯平台，你一定可以收获到非常非常多平常你看不到的一些资料哈。那其实整个全球的这个经济哈，在这2年疫情的关系之下哈，台湾很多厂商也关了2年，我们都闷在台湾闷很久了哈。那非洲市场当然也是不例外的哈，这2年我们都没有办法走出去。但是其实我也看到很勇敢的我们的台商哦，这个今天的讲师之一 Apple 哈，他也在疫情期间其实也都到非洲去了哈。所以我们看看今年以来，很多国家已经都把所有的相关的疫情啊，相关的一些防疫措施都慢慢取消掉了。尤其是这个在欧洲国家呢，其实大概有6个国家是完全没有条件的，就是免隔离的。哦，那其他还有34个国家左右是有附带一些条件。那也就是说，进入今年之后，其实整个全球慢慢都走向跟病毒共存的一个世界哈。那我们也鼓励我们的厂商啊，今年一定要勇敢的走出去。那贸协呢，在经济部贸易局的这个指导之下，其实今年我们所规划的活动啊，通通都有这个实体版的这个活动。那也就是说，各位如果到海外去，如果需要到我们海外的办事处去，需要我们海外办事处协助的地方，我们都可以帮忙。那如果我们组团出去，那当然这个毋庸置疑的，我们这个外管呢就会把所有的行程通通都安排好。那如果说我们组团组不了，那只有3、5家、1、2家过去，我们也都会请外管协助你们来帮忙安排这样的行程。我们希望这个台湾的业者啊，发挥跟以前一样勇敢的这个精神，这个快步的走出去哈，然后赶快跟全球接上这个接上这样子一个节奏哈。那我相信在今年的这个后续的这个情况之下呢，我们台湾的经济一定会很快的恢复到2019年以前的这个情况。那么对非洲的这个市场拓展的这个策略啊，那今年呢，其实我们也规划了跟过去有一点不一样的地方，就是刚刚我们已经提到，非洲是这么的辽阔，那所以今年呢，我们也将这个整个非洲大陆啊， 这个分为5个区。那么会针对这个5个区呢，我们来这个举办像今天一样的这个研讨会来这个详细的这个探讨啊，然后请专家来分析这些区域里面的相关的这个合作的这个商机。那所以今年除了今天的这个南部非洲的这个市场研讨会之外，后续还会有中部非洲、北部非洲、东部非洲、西部非洲等等4个区分区啊，一区一区去探讨，然后带领大家来走访整个非洲大陆市场。那南部非洲当然包括14个国家，那其中呢，南非、莫三比克、摩里西斯这3个国家是我们出口到非洲的前5名哈。那这3个国家也占了台湾出口南部非洲的出口金额90%左右。那南部非洲更不用说，它就是这个非洲非常重要的一个经济体。那它也占了撒哈拉以南地区的这个 GDP 总量的1/3哦。那也是我们在非洲最大的贸易伙伴之一，同时也是这个最进步，也是台商最多的一个国家。所以我们这个今天也非常谢谢简总会长啊，能够亲自到现场来来跟大家做分享然后莫三比克它是非洲天然气最大的生产国，摩里西斯是非洲自由度最高的一个国家，包括今年19年跟2021年，它分别跟英国跟印度啊都签了这个全面经济伙伴关系协议。那我相信，因为有这样的这个协议呢，那边的这个经商自由度啊是非常非常高的那这个对台商去那边经商啊，一定有非常非常好的这个一个帮助，非常大的一个帮助。那所以，针对今天这个非洲南部非洲市场的一个研讨会，我们也很荣幸邀请到这个驻台代表Mr. Vermaak 那为我们来分享南非的这个投资的一个概况那希望能够借此吸引更多的台商到南非去。那另外，刚刚我们介绍到的这个简永杰总会长那他在当地是人脉非常广阔那如何我们能够顺利的进到非洲去，进到南部非洲去，相信他一定有很多很多的这个经验可以跟我们分享。那另外刚刚提到的我们摩里西斯的这个周总刚刚我讲他真的是很勇敢的一个这个我们号称摩里西斯女王在疫情期间他仍然能够这个到摩里西斯去，然后跟他的客户去这个洽商所以我相信他应该今天啊也会有很多很多这个我们平常所听不到的一些撇步来跟我们分享那所以外贸协会今年呢会在这样的这个情况之下，我们外贸协会仍然会规划有3个拓销团，还有这个相关的研讨会，就是包括今天这样子还有整个非洲的商机日，还有包括前2年开始我们在非洲推的这个提升台湾形象的台湾周，那今年会选择在肯亚今年会选择在肯亚。那么除了这个之外，我们也希望大家这个多多利用台湾非洲经贸网的一个相关的这个资讯，然后在出发之前呢都能够做好充分的准备，然后才能够在这个非洲市场上面旗开得胜。那最后在这里祝大家今天这个整个研讨会能够有丰硕的收获，然后也今年有机会跟大家一起到非洲去这个勇闯非洲市场。谢谢大家。
谢谢邱处长，邱处长请回座。紧接着我们请经济部国际贸易局张淑玉张组长为我们致辞，欢迎张组长。
南非驻台代表 Mr. Vermaak， 非洲经贸协会黄理事长，那贸协邱处长，还有非洲台湾商会联合总会的简总会长，理顿公司的周总经理，还有各位关心非洲市场动态的先生小姐，大家午安，大家好。谢谢。那今天很高兴能够代表贸易局来参加这一场就是由我们委托外贸协会来办理的我们 今年的第1季的非洲市场的研讨会哈。那今天的活动哈，将由经营非洲市场多年的业界先进哈，来跟各位分享宝贵的实务经验。我想今天的研讨会的安排哈，一定有助于各位哈去开发非洲市场哈，能够得到很多的经验哈，甚至于去发掘哈当地潜在的商机。那非洲市场呢，其实刚刚邱处长也有讲到，其实它是能够成长非常快速的一个区域哈。那随着近年来区域经济整合深化，带动了投资需求，还有制造业蓬勃的发展哈。太小声啊。那非洲呢，现在已经是世界上多数发展最快速经济体的所在地哈。那从2009年到2020年期间，非洲的平均经济成长率都维持在3%到4%之间哈。而且随着非洲大陆自由贸易区哈，在2021年1月生效以后，其实非洲各国之间的贸易量也真的快速的提升很多哈。所以呢，在这片大陆发展出自己的价值链哈，预计未来哈可以维持在4%以上的成长率哈，所以投资潜力真的是无穷哈。那其中南部非洲国家人口又达2亿人哈，拥有丰富的自然农矿资源、充沛的年轻劳动人口，也是未来机械还有医材，甚至于电子产品的高潜力消费市场。与我国出进口产业结构都有高度的互补性哈，是我国极力争取的经贸与投资合作的伙伴哈。那为了争取非洲的市场的商机，我们持续的透过跟民间还有官方的各种管道，加强与非洲国家的经贸对话，来促进双边商务合作的关系哈。例如我国从2018年起就与这个史瓦蒂尼签署了台史经济合作协定，也就是 ECA 哈。双方除了就贸易、投资、加工出口区、技术与人员交流这个五大面向来进行经济合作外我们也善用了史国与非洲各国签署自由贸易协定的关税优惠，将史国作为拓销非洲的枢纽。那除了积极与非洲各国持续进行的经贸谈判，那为我国业者创造更好的经贸条件外，我们也跟贸协这边来共同的合作，也刚刚邱处长也跟各位报告，其实今年的工作也相当的多也就是透过非洲市场商机日线上拓销团或者媒合会来补助我商赴非洲部件通路，或者是增设海外据点等等措施，来协助业者拓销。那另外呢，为了协助业者更加深入的认识非洲市场，掌握即时市场的商情资讯，我本局也委托外贸协会建制了非洲经贸网，还有史瓦蒂尼的经贸网来提供市场商情的分析、投资、政府采购标案等资讯。那希望透过上述的各项做法，那我国与非洲的国家都能够持续的去深化双边的合作，在供需两端的各项产业领域加强合作的关系，来创造台非的经贸双赢。那在我国企业和政府的共同努力之下我们今年在促进与非洲贸易方面其实已经有所提升了那也跟各位报告，就是根据今年海关统计数据来显示像2021年台湾对南部非洲市场的出口值，相较2020年同期已经成长了19%。那整体的贸易额更是成长了30%。我想这些数据都显示了，台湾跟南部非洲的贸易关系其实是更加紧密的那未来的一年，我想受疫情的影响美中贸易还有乌俄战事的这个影响其实预期全球经贸都充满了不确定性那面对这样子的一个局势，那本局会以更多元创新的方式来协助业者开拓非洲市场所以今天的南部非洲研讨会除了今天办理以外，我们后续也会再针对东部西部、北部的非洲国家来办理市场的研讨会。那到时候也希望各位先进能够继续来到场来支持我们来给我们鼓励。那再次感谢各位 好来参加今天的活动，祝大家有一个成功而有意义的一天。那也预祝今天的活动能够圆满成功，各位嘉宾收获满意，事事顺心啊！谢谢大家。
谢谢张组长，张组长请回座。最后，我们邀请非洲经贸协会黄华明理事长为大家来讲几句话。欢迎黄理事长。
经济部国贸局张处长，贸协邱慧丽邱处长，还有南非驻台代表Mr. Vermaak，还有非洲台湾商会的总会简永杰简总会长，还有 TAITRA 的林处长，以及我们TAITRA的第一位荣誉理事长顺杰Jeff 你好，还有呢所有TAITRA的伙伴们，以及呢还没参加TAITRA的各位厂商先进们。很高兴在这边受邀来跟各位讲几句话。我想我就简单的表示，那非洲市场很大，刚才我们邱市长已经讲了。那今年呢是一个非常好的年头，为什么？因为疫情即将过去。那今年呢，贸协会规划很多的这种类似的研讨会，我们TAITRA也准备配合这个贸协这些的安排，甚至呢也包括了促销团。那对于非洲市场，我个人的认为是按照人生需求、食衣住行娱乐来看它。刚刚邱市长提到了，非洲市场本身最大的需求是在于所谓的吃食，还有呢行。事实上呢衣也很重要，因为在以往台湾很多的二手衣的厂商呢，在非洲事实上是做得非常好，甚至呢我所听说呢。有人这个二手衣进到非洲去的话，在某个阶段呢，一个月可以进个上百个货柜的那当然呢，其他方面我是觉得非洲呢已经跟往年我们第一次去非洲看的时候不一样了，因为呢，非洲已经跟国际上接轨了。非洲很多的科技上并不是很落后的，事实上他们资讯是非常发达的。那尤其是南非是整个非洲的领头羊。那南非的科技，尤其是医疗方面，大家都知道举世闻名的。所以呢，台湾的厂商也要注意到，人生需求里面的食衣住行以外，最后2项的娱乐，也是非常在以后非常看好的一个行业。那我期望呢，在这个行业上面呢，跟各位先进所有的对非洲市场抱着憧憬的各位厂商呢，大家一起努力。那当然呢。TAITRA 台湾非洲经贸协会，它是一个商业的媒介的平台。我们很希望借由跟上那个整个潮流，然后呢，我们会来安排设计，尤其是在今年TAITRA将推出有史以来从来没有过的所谓的所有会员的产品目录。那我们将以这种利器来行销，帮各位会员来行销非洲市场。希望呢还没参加TAITRA的赶快，外面这个table 上面有申请表。那如果有什么疑问的话可以来请教我们外面的TAITRA的会员，或者是在场的谢谢各位。
谢谢黄理事长，黄理事长请留步。接下来我们邀请今天的贵宾及讲者到台上一同合影。那么我们也邀请林处长一起上来。麻烦我们各位贵宾对着摄影镜头微笑一下。好，各位贵宾可以把口罩拿下来，我们再对着镜头微笑一下来，麻烦大家可以比个赞。好。 谢谢，谢谢各位贵宾与讲者，请各位入座。Mr. Vermaak, please stay on the stage. 紧接着，我们有请南非驻台代表 Mr. Vermaak 为大家分享南资的投资概况和我商合作机会，请大家掌声鼓励。首先，我们会先播一段南非的投资影片。
Wouldn't you like to explore a country where two worlds intersect, where first world infrastructure meets an emerging market, where diversity is celebrated through its people and its sectors, where one of the most powerful economies in Africa embraces new opportunities, where science and technology enjoy rapid advancement, a land where innovation creates a dynamic environment for growth. The world's leader in mining and minerals, with nearly 90% of all the platinum metals on Earth and around 41% of all the world's gold. Home to 11 Nobel Peace Prize winners. And with the most UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Africa. It is one of only 2 countries in the world to have hosted 3 different World Cups, where a market of almost 60 million people provide you with the perfect springboard to access a continent of 1.3 billion people. It's where the impossible is made possible. Welcome to South Africa, a land of endless possibilities. A truly inspiring country. Welcome to the future. Invest in South Africa. Powered by Brand South Africa.
Executive Director Felix Chow, Madam Director Shui Chiang from the Bureau of Foreign Trade in the Ministry of Economic Affairs, the Honorable Frank Huang, Chairman of the Taiwan Africa Business Association, Mr. Frank Chen, and Madame Apple Chow. Good to see you again. I now recognize you quite clearly. I know exactly who you are. It is indeed a privilege for us to be here this afternoon and to look into a region that I think is probably one of the powerhouses of the African continent. On behalf of the South African Liaison Office in Taipei, I would like to thank TAITRA for dedicating their valuable time and effort to arrange this event. I think events like these seek to promote more quality products from the Southern African region, which will ultimately boost industrial development, rebalance trade, and foster mutual growth between Taiwan and Africa. Felix, I think you've given me 20 minutes to speak. I think that's perfect because after 20 minutes everybody gets bored, so I will stop at 20 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my intention this afternoon to give you a snapshot of what South Africa is able to offer you as an active investor and a trade partner. But more specifically, to shape your view of South Africa as a leading and mature economy on the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps just a few opening remarks to place certain issues in perspective. South Africa is one of the world's most sophisticated and promising emerging markets, offering a unique combination of highly developed first world economic infrastructure combined with a vibrant emerging market economy. Opportunities abound, with a current focus on massive infrastructure development in areas such as transportation, water, roads, and electricity. As a matter of fact, as we are sitting here,
Electricity generation in South Africa is expected to grow by 6,800 megawatts over the medium term. South Africa remains a top tourism destination for visitors from across the globe, owing to its diverse offering, world-class infrastructure, and positive global reputation. I'm sure you might have seen the video that was playing outside while we were registering. I think, as is the case with Taiwan, South Africa's tourism industry was heavily affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. In South Africa, about 800,000 jobs are either directly or indirectly linked to the tourism industry. The tourism industry also contributes about 7.5% of our gross domestic product. We have just launched, and some of you might have seen this on the global news networks, South African tourism have just launched their global rebranding. And it is part of the South African Tourism Recovery Program to make sure that that part of our economy recovers after COVID. Continued focus is being placed on positioning and implementing innovative technology to help drive growth, as demonstrated by the country's commitment to realizing the fourth industrial revolution and our country's highly sophisticated ICT and electronic sector. Perhaps I can tell you that on the 17th of March this year, the South African Independent Communication Authority, and I think, Mr. Chair, you will know this, auctioned off our high-demand radio frequency spectrum. Now, this auction brought in about $1 billion, and what it will allow us to do is a far more effective engagement with the Internet of Things and an accelerated rollout of South Africa's 5G networks. Ladies and gentlemen, South Africa and Taiwan shares a long history of economic cooperation. And I think it was mentioned here this afternoon, and it is illustrated in the large Taiwanese community residing in South Africa. And I think over 400 Taiwanese companies already invested and operating within South Africa. I'm of the view that the plans that South Africa has for itself, as well as the plans that the continent has for itself, will put in place a situation where Taiwanese businesses will thrive in a post-COVID world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a very interesting thing happened today. As TAITRA invited us to be here today, I'm wondering if Felix did this on purpose, because as we are gathering here today, President Ramaphosa will be hosting the 4th South African Global Investment Conference in Johannesburg today. In 2018, President Ramaphosa hosted the first of these presidential investment conferences and announced our country's objective to raise $100 billion over the next 5 years, with a view of increasing economic growth and creating more employment opportunities. In that year, 31 investment projects were announced, totaling $20 billion. By the end of 2019, local and international investors responded to our president's call, and another $25 billion of investment announcements were made. Now, the 4th annual South African Investment Conference will start in about 7 hours in Johannesburg. And this will serve as a platform in which South Africa wants to do very specific things. We want to position ourselves as a globally relevant player and partner in trade and investment that can compete with the best in the world. Secondly, it will showcase South Africa's capabilities and strategic importance in the region. It will profile the country's economic recovery strategy and implementation. It will also reinforce South Africa's position as an attractive business, investment, and tourism destination. It will showcase investment opportunities that will transform the economy and create employment. And lastly, and I think very importantly, it will emphasize South Africa's continued commitment and zero tolerance for corruption and the fight against it in all sectors of society. We have included a QR code that will take you to the live streaming of this event in this presentation. And for those of you who are interested in what is happening in Johannesburg today, please use this QR code. I think it's going to be a very interesting conference. Dear friends, President Ramaphosa has promised the investment community that the South African government would provide the political and policy certainty to allow an enabling environment for businesses to grow and operate, and where their investments would be protected. If you look at this, it would seem as if the world has believed us. South Africa is Africa's preferred investment destination for multinational companies. Thanks to its highly sophisticated business environment, world-class financial services sector, and excellent transport links, South Africa is regarded as the leading springboard into the rest of the continent. More than 180 Fortune Global 500 companies have invested in South Africa, and you see some of them up here. This represents the largest concentration on the continent. South Africa offers attractive opportunities for investors seeking new markets, access to resources, efficiencies, or strategic assets. I think just for interest's sake, you might see that BMW is up there at the top of the automotive column. If you drive a BMW X3 or know somebody that drives a BMW X3 here in Taiwan, I can tell you without a doubt that that vehicle was assembled somewhere close to the town where I grew up in South Africa. And we know that I think about more than 2,000 of these vehicles were exported to Taiwan last year. Indeed, we have a lot to offer in the form of our people, in natural and mineral resources, with a young and able workforce, world-class infrastructure, sophisticated telecommunication systems, and a well-regulated financial and banking sector. Ladies and gentlemen, our banking sector has been rated the 19th most sophisticated in the world by the World Economic Forum. Now, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa and Taiwan share a very important value. We believe in the rule of law. The South Africa's constitution has been heralded for containing rights not found in many other constitutions in the world. It is hailed by many and used as an example for many other countries. The independence of our judiciary is above reproach, and the legal framework is strong, especially around commerce, taxation, maritime issues, competition law, intellectual property rights, and other basic human rights. And we are particularly proud of the Protection of Investment Act that came into operation on July the 13th, 2018, and provides protection to investors in relation to their investments and aims to achieve a balance of rights and obligations that apply to all investors. I think let me start with this one. It's always an interesting one to look at the size of South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we have prepared some information about the leading economic activities in some of the different regions in South Africa. As there's not enough time to go into detailed analysis, allow me a couple of remarks. South Africa has 9 provinces. 4 of these border on our coastline. Our coastline is 2,800 kilometers long. When we compare it with Taiwan's coastline of about 1,566 kilometers, we might get an idea of the size of South Africa. What we see here is a breakdown of these economic activities in our provinces, characterizing each of them. I should perhaps draw your attention to 2 of these provinces, of which we are very proud, and perhaps it will allow me an opportunity to blow our own horn. You will notice that we are claiming that the Northwest Province and the Northern Cape Province of South Africa are respectively the most important platinum and manganese mining regions in the world. The Republic of South Africa is the world's leader in terms of reserves and the production of many types of mineral resources. The diversity of mineral resources, as well as the heavy reliance of the world power on some of them, makes South Africa the subject of the continuing competition for access to its deposits and securing a reliable supply of raw materials. The South African non-energy mineral reserves are estimated at between $2.4 and $3 trillion. This makes my country one of the richest non-oil powers in the world. For example, South Africa accounts for more than 90% of the global reserves of platinum, 80% of manganese, 72% of chrome, 32% of vanadium, and 13% of the world's gold. However, most of these figures are outdated because it's based on outdated exploration methods, and we are now currently busy with very modern exploration methods, and we are very sure that these reserves will rise. What is important is that the importance of some of the minerals that I've just mentioned to you is its increasing use as the world starts combating global climate change and moves towards green economies. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought it might be worth our time to spend a minute or two to look at South Africa's regional, continental, and global trade integration and our market access arrangements. Because if you locate to South Africa, you get a package deal. South Africa is well integrated into regional economic infrastructure as formalized by membership in the Southern African Development Community, or SADC. In addition, the South African Customs Union, SACU, agreement with Botswana, Namibia, Lesotho, and Eswatini facilitates commercial exchanges. South Africa is a member of the World Trade Organization. We are the only African member of the G20, and we are also a member of BRICS, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And these countries represent some of the most important global emerging economies at present. The African Union currently recognizes 8 regional economic communities on the African continent. Our own community is called SADC, or the Southern African Development Community. The main objectives of Southern African Development Community are to achieve economic development, peace and security, and growth, to alleviate poverty, enhance the standard and quality of lives of the people of Southern Africa, and support the socially disadvantaged through regional integration. The economic benefits expected from regional integration, as shown elsewhere on the globe, include increased market size, improved intra-regional trade and investment flows, and increased transfer of technology and experience. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of a package deal, we might also want to look at, and some of you might be interested, in South Africa's preferential access to the lucrative United States market through the African Growth and Opportunities Act, or AGOA, and also our access to the European Union through the SADC EU Economic Partnership Agreement. Now, the African Growth and Opportunities Act is a United States Trade Act that was enacted on 18 May 2000. AGOA has since been renewed to 2025. This legislation significantly enhances market access to the US for qualifying sub-Saharan African countries. AGOA provides eligible sub-Saharan African countries with duty-free access to the United States market for over 1,800 products. In addition to the more than 5,000 products that are eligible for duty-free access under the general system of preferences. As these preferences are determined by rules of origin, investors in South Africa can share in this access to the United States market. In terms of the European Union, the EU and the Southern African Development Community signed the SADC EU EPA agreement on 10 June 2016. The partnership agreement advantages includes the exclusion of sensitive products from liberalization, flexible rules of origin in addition to special safeguards and measures for agriculture, food products, and infant industries. The European Union grants 100% duty-free and quota-free access to all imports coming from Botswana, Lesotho, Mozambique, Namibia, and Eswatini. The access to the EU market is permanent, full, and free to all products. As far as my own country is concerned, the EU currently removes customs duties on 98.7% of imports coming from South Africa under specific quantity quotas. Now, ladies and gentlemen, whilst we are on the topic of market access, I think I need to spend a couple of minutes talking to you about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Launched on the 1st of January 2022, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is an exciting game changer. Currently, Africa accounts for just 2% of global trade, and only 17% of African exports are intracontinental. Now, this is bad when you compare it to 59% for Asia and 68% of Europe. The potential for transformation across Africa is therefore significant. This trade pact will create the largest free trade area in the world, measured by the number of countries participating. It is connecting 1.3 billion people across 55 countries with a combined gross domestic product valued at $3.5 trillion. The agreement aims to reduce all trade costs and enable Africa to integrate further into the global supply chains. It will eliminate 90% of tariffs, focus on outstanding non-tariff barriers, and create a single market with free movement of goods and services. Cutting red tape and simplifying customs procedures will bring significant income gains. Beyond trade, the pact also addresses the movement of persons and labor, competition, investment, and intellectual property. The historic development promises to fundamentally reshape African economies. The Continental Free Trade Area will improve access to existing African markets and lead to the creation of new ones. This treaty will unleash the manufacturing and industrial capability of the continent as companies seek to make products for the growing African market of almost 2 billion people. Ladies and gentlemen, I know how tired we all are of talking about COVID-19. But I thought I would spend just one slide this afternoon to show you briefly the components of South Africa's reconstruction and recovery plan. As a nation, we have determined that we will not be defeated by challenges we currently face. Currently, South Africa is busy with public consultations that will see us lift the state of disaster that has been in place for the last 2 years. After 4 waves of infection, fewer people are becoming severely ill and requiring hospitalization. There are far fewer deaths than before. Our scientists tell us that this is mainly because 60 to 80% of our population currently has some form of immunity to the virus, either from previous infection or vaccinations. From the experience of the past 2 years, our health services have learned to manage the disease more effectively. The South African Reconstruction and Recovery Plan is a fiscal relief package totaling approximately $40 billion, aimed at boosting growth through a number of investment projects, amongst other interventions. Now, we have determined that we will move forward, effect far-reaching reforms, and undertake the detailed work required to turn our economy around. Working together with private sector, we have made much progress in creating policy certainty, consistency, and predictability for our business partners. We have been steadily working to create a business environment that is competitive and conducive to investment. As a government, we are clear about what we need to do. That is, growing the economy, protecting lives and livelihoods, and consolidating and directing our every resource and our every capability to do it. Now, central to our efforts is to ignite growth and create jobs in an ambitious execution-oriented industrial strategy, founded on partnerships between government, labor, and the industry. It prioritizes growth in important sectors, such as automotive, clothing and textiles, gas, chemicals and plastics, tourism, renewable energy, the oceans economy, agriculture, mining and beneficiation, the digital economy, and the high-tech industries. The South African Department of Trade and Industry and Competition and the Taiwan Ministry of Economic Affairs met on 25 January at the 14th South Africa-Taiwan Economic Consultations to discuss cooperation in these areas, but also to discuss specific cooperation in the execution of South Africa's industrialization and localization master plans. Now, there's a couple of master plans that I think you might be interested in, and if you are specifically doing business in these areas, I think these master plans are your key to engaging with the South African economy. The master plans include commercial forestry, our poultry, clothing, textile, footwear, and the leather industries, South Africa's automotive industry, our sugar value chain, South African steel and metal fabrication, as well as our furniture industry. I believe the director from the Ministry of Economic Affairs knows that South Africa is very impressed with the way that Taiwan is managing its special economic zones. Now, in South Africa, we have also identified special economic zones as platforms that are attracting investors and enhancing economic growth. We have established 10 special economic zones in strategic locations around the country, such as Durban, Johannesburg, Pretoria, Port Elizabeth, where investors are able to produce and export value-added products. Investors are offered a preferential corporate tax regime, building support, employee tax incentives, favorable customs regulations, and support for capital investment and training. Recently, a new automotive special economic zone was launched in the Gauteng province. Perhaps I can share with you that at the moment, the liaison office here in Taipei is currently acting as an interlocutor between the Taiwan Semiconductor Industry Association and the East London Industrial Economic Zone to discuss ways in which Taiwan can establish a presence in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost done. This brings us to our one-stop shop. Where do you go if you are interested in learning more of the opportunities available in this exciting period in South Africa? Invest South Africa is South Africa's preeminent investment promotion agency, and it is a key part of South Africa's Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. There's a dedicated team of world-class investment professionals. Invest SA plays a critical role in attracting and generating investment into, as well as retaining investments in South Africa. Now, beyond the investment facilitation role it plays, Invest SA also plays an important role in supporting the business community by coordinating advocacy for business environment reforms. Whether you are a prospective investor looking to invest in South Africa, to expand your investment in South Africa, or to invest in Africa through the gateway South Africa presents to the continent, Invest SA is here to guide you through all the stages of your investment process. Invest SA will provide you with the practical information, specialized assistance, and the right connections you need to facilitate your business establishments and expansion plans. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, Invest SA provides these services free of charge. Invest SA works in partnership with South Africa's 9 regions to match your investment needs with the immense and diverse business opportunities that South Africa has to offer within and beyond its borders. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm concluding. After this brief review of our trade and investment environment, I thought we would give you an idea of what South Africa has to offer Taiwan as we are sitting here. We have made your work a lot easier, as you can see there, by identifying 6 of the most attractive sectors ready for investment today. Now, there's a lot of very specific areas under these 6 areas, and I don't think we have time to go into them in detail today.
Hello， 各位观众朋友，大家好，欢迎收看 James on Air， 我是 James。今天我们要探讨的议题呢是充满科技味的智慧医疗。那